Hello, so in this video we're going to look at some of the mage crowd control skills, how they affect enemies and how enemies can grow immune to them over time. I'm not interested in all of the mage crowd control skills, so for example Frostbolt can slow, Arc Lightning has a knockback attack on it, and Frostbeam also slows enemies. We're going to look at 3 skills that impact on the overall crowd control mechanics that go on in the background in Eternium. So we're going to start off here in the training grounds, and we're going to look at 3 main crowd control effects that will typically come into play during a trial when you're playing as a mage. Of these 3 crowd control effects, we're going to look at 2 are active effects, in other words they're abilities that we actively control or cast, and 1 is passive, and as such there's not a lot you can do about it, it's just going to happen. So first up we're going to start with the passive crowd control effects. What I'm going to do, we've got a skeleton hiding down here in a corner for some reason rather than in the middle of the map. I'm just going to let him come up and attack me, and we'll see our first eventually crowd control effect come into play. So there it is, he's become frozen. So you might wonder, well, how's that possible? You're not doing anything, it's frozen again. And that is from our Glacis Tempestus tome being equipped. As we see, when we receive damage, there's a 10% chance the attack is frozen for 3 seconds. Now I mentioned that there's other things coming into play within Eternium, and we can see that here. Just above his health bar there's a little grey bar, and it starts decaying when he attacks me. That's showing the enemy's resistance to crowd control. So if that bar completely fills, it changes from grey, and when it reaches this end point here it turns a light blue. At that point the monster is completely immune to any further crowd control effects that we apply onto him until the blue bar fully decays. So that's passive. And we'll have a quick look at our 2 active skills that we're going to also impact this crowd control effect. So the first up is Frost Nova. When I cast that on our enemy, he'll become frozen, as we see, and the grey bar's well halfway at this point. He's frozen himself as well. Again, we nearly filled it that time. And our other crowd control effect will come courtesy of Maggie, Eileen or Maggie. So Vortex as well is a skill that impacts this crowd control bar. So he's actually turned immune. So I was going to demonstrate, if I throw a Vortex down he's unaffected by it, if I throw a Frost Nova he's unaffected by it. If I throw another Vortex down now, there's no blue bar, so I can move him. He's grey, I can move him again. I can freeze him. Almost filled it. And it decays. And so with this seamless change of scene, just want to point out that there is a difference between the way that crowd control effects and immunity work between regular mobs or elites and bosses in trials. So the regular mobs or elites will behave exactly as we've just seen within the training ground. You fill up the grey bar, it turns light blue, they become immune. Bosses, we have 2 of them that have a permanent blue bar. Those are Kara and Garm. They're completely immune to any crowd control effects. You can't freeze them, you can't move them around with Vortex. Kara's minions can be moved, they are subject to crowd control. Again, if you hit them with too many vortexes or freezes in quick succession, they will become immune, and on Kara at higher level trials that can become a problem for you. Garm's blue bar, utterly impossible to see during normal gameplay. The screen zooms out, his name appears right over his health bar and crowd control status bar as well. So the only other bosses that we've got are who have we got? Magroth, Elban and the Broken Dragon. Those can all be subject to crowd control effects at certain times. They become immune also. It seems to correspond to certain attacks that they do, or in the case of Magroth, he goes through several stages of enrage before he's fully enraged, and I think with Magroth it's as he becomes slightly enraged he gets a quarter bar of immunity, and then that needs to tail down before you can crowd control him. I think it ties in with special attacks that they don't necessarily always become fully immune, although it's completely possible to do that, and you then have a longer period where you can't apply crowd control effects. I think what we'll do is we'll jump in, we'll have a look at some of the bosses, and we'll take a look at the crowd controls on them. First up, we'll take a look at Magroth. We'll go trial 121. I should be massively overpowered for this, so shouldn't be in any danger at any time.
A strong one over here.
Going to use our shatter to pull as many creatures as possible.
Burn
them down. Spawn Magroth and have a look at his crowd control. Now.
Not quite yet. Freeze! I've been looking for you.
So it's frozen, he's got slight grey, he's become immune, so I can't freeze him. That's worn down, I can freeze him, I can vortex him, hit him. Frostbeam, I can vortex him. He's frozen himself.
Still recharging.
As you can see, he's got a blue bar, he's now immune again to any crowd control effects. Freeze does nothing. I'm not going to waste the vortex. Use that now.
Not quite yet.
Vortex. And finish with a freeze. So now we'll have a look at the Broken Dragon.
Now it's apart. Kill the summoner. Take down the healer. Burn! Not quite yet. Boom! Not ready.
So we've got some mobs in here that have got a blue
Still recharged.
marker, which should just keep moving towards me. They're immune to any crowd control. So Broken Dragon, no bar, immune. Now she's fully immune. Turn blue again. Next up, Elban, where we typically like to use Vortex on him to create distance for our Frostbeam attacks. So we need to keep an eye out for when he is capable of being subject to crowd control.
Still recharging. Kill the summoner. Now it's apart. Burst! Take down the healer. Not quite yet. Still recharging. Freeze! Not quite yet.
There he is. He can be thrown. He's now got a blue bar, so he's subject to crowd control. We've got terrible lag. I don't know if I'm going to survive. So we're waiting for this blue bar to decay. I can freeze him, Frost Nova, I can Vortex, maintaining the range. We freeze him again, and now he's immune again. Immune to crowd control, just keep auto attack. This lag's terrible. The Vortex and Frostbeam. He's fully immune, which is why he's charging whilst frozen. It takes a while for a fully immune charge to wear off. He's come off that now. Kill him. So let's tackle Garm. As I said, this is one he's permanently immune to crowd control. Let's see if we can try and spot that and point that out.
Foes ahead. A strong one. Freeze! Kill the summoner. Burn! Take down the healer.
Garm out in the open, so somewhere around here should be good for a spawn. We've got a lot of
we meet at last.
So you can see here he's permanently blue on his nameplate, just behind his name.
Still recharging. Quite yet.
Oh, that was clever.
Not ready. Burn.
And also a good example of how the boss fight doesn't necessarily at the start follow the sequence that you'd expect. And finally, Kara. Control 125 is always a desert map, so we know what we're getting in advance here.
Take down the healer. Kill the summoner. Not quite yet.
Seem like a lot of mobs at the moment.
Not ready.
Need these side channels.
Still recharging. Not quite yet.
Here's Kara, permanently blue, so I can't move her. If I wanted to reposition Kara, the only way I can do that is to come and hide behind an obstacle and she'll move. Her minions can be vortexed.
Still recharging.
It says failing. Spawned minion. You can can see the minions now immune to crowd control, so if I freeze it will still attack. Car over here, finish this.
Still recharging.
So hopefully that gives you an overview of crowd control and some of the mechanics that go on in the background.